cause. Last of a breed to do it how we was taught. Gods in the rafters covering you and yours. Gather round the world's most famous battlegrounds. Infamous enough where they have it could do you proud.
All right, let's get it going here. All right, here we go. Salute to Knicks Nation on this Saturday evening, special edition of KFTV Live, CP The Fanchise in the building. The Knicks will continue their West Coast tilt with their second matchup against the Los Angeles Lakers. And joining me to preview the show, he is the host of Hoops Talk. You can catch him on YouTube daily. He's my guy, Alan Sliwa, in the building, covers the Lakers for Hoops Talk and NBA as well. Hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe to the channel, and let's get into it. Salute to my franchise channel members, as well as the replay gang. Happy Saturday to Knicks Nation. Let's go. All right. Alan, welcome to KFTV, man. How you doing, man?
What's up, CP? Thank you for having me on. Some good hip-hop to get things started right there. All right, this is perfect. This
absolutely.
Is a perfect setup.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I came on your show yesterday to preview this matchup, and, you know, similar topics and similar format. I feel like we got to flip it and talk to you in terms of, first off, you know, what's your thought on these Knicks, man? Red hot right now.
Yeah, you know, I'm looking yesterday. So when you and I talked, it was obviously before the Knicks took on the Nuggets.
Yeah.
The night before that, Lakers took on Denver, lost a pretty good battle, close game. They never had a lead, but the game was back and forth in the sense Lakers made a game at the end. And I'm looking last night, Lakers are taking on the Pacers. I'm like, what's the score between the Nuggets and the Knicks? So I don't even know what happened yesterday. I just saw that Jamal Murray got injured. I saw the Knicks blow him out. My thoughts on the Knicks from an outsider trying to look in, man, I got to be honest, coming into the season, I just assumed the Eastern Conference should go through the Knicks, just seeing the Tatum injury and the Tyrese Halliburton injury, and seeing how things have played out so far. Certainly, you just got to expect Knicks are going to be one of those teams in the Eastern Conference, are going to be a team to reckon with, and we'll see if that obviously holds true, but certainly starting to play some good ball right now.
Yeah, well, their talent is certainly leading the way in different ways. You know, Jalen Brunson, when he's typically known to be their primary scorer, right now he's kind of just taking what the defense is giving him. He's been spraying the ball around, but his teammates have been delivering by and large. And OG Anunoby had a sensational night in Denver last night of 34 points, 11 to 17 from the field, just giving it to the Nuggets on all three levels. And then, you know, the best thing about him is that his versatility. I mean, you're seeing him guarding Nikola Jokic, fronting Nikola Jokic. He's in the passing lanes, and that's going to be my key matchup for tomorrow, man, is that OG versus Luka battle, because, you know, Luka's red hot right now, and he just seems to just get to his spots and hit those tough. I look at him as one of those tough shot shooters, probably the best in the league at those, where you just that's a terrible shot, but he knocks those down. That's going to be the primary matchup that I'm really going to be looking forward to tomorrow.
That was Luka yesterday. They took on the Pacers. Not that, you know, obviously the Pacers are the Pacers this year, but he had 44. And a lot of those shots that you're talking about that he was taking, tough 23-footers, hand in your face, where if you're Rick Carlisle on the other end, you're like, listen, if that goes in, it goes in. There's nothing the defense can do. But that's kind of Luka, right? I'm sure there's a few players in the NBA, Jalen Brunson being one of those guys too, where you're like, how'd this guy get, you know, that shot to go, or was able to get an and one or draw a foul? And that's Luka Doncic. That's a big part of his game. Will be interesting tomorrow. You know, the Lakers have a lot of holes, and if there's one thing that the Lakers have struggled with, it's beating teams that are going to be in the playoffs, which is not obviously a good sign for the Lakers. And Knicks playing some good ball right now. So the Lakers got their hands full, but they're also desperate to try to get a signature win, which they haven't had in a long time.
And this week, there's a lot of, you know, talk around the Lakers. A video came out, the little friction between Luka Doncic and JJ Redick. How did you see that? Did you see it as just, you know, typical on the workplace difference of opinion, or do you think there's something deeper underneath?
I don't think there's something deeper underneath, but I also don't think it's nothing. You know, I think they were trying to quickly sweep it under the rug. That's it. This happens all the time. It may happen, but as far as I know, since Luka's been a Laker, I haven't seen footage of him and JJ having that type of interaction. Again, I'm not telling you that Luka's requesting a trade tomorrow, or the late or JJ Redick's on the hot seat because of that. But I mean, I watch every single Lakers game. I'm listening to every pregame, postgame, everything else. I haven't seen that between those two. So I thought it was interesting. I think the fact that, you need Vando to get up and try to, as best as he can, you could say, box out Luka from having any further conversation with JJ Redick. It's the Lakers. And, if you had that type of, if Mike Brown and Jalen Brunson had that type of exchange and one of the fans caught it on video, it's impossible that Knicks media is not going to be talking about it, and national media is not going to be talking about it. But I'd also don't think that that's oh my gosh, this something's really going on deeper within the Lakers organization. I don't think it's that either.
Yeah, I think we've seen way worse in the NBA, and teams come out on the other end winning championships. I mean, we've seen the guys get physical. So, but I thought it was interesting, just being that when JJ Redick was brought in, he was the golden child, the new era, the young Pat Riley, the savant, and now it's just murmuring in terms of the confidence that the Laker fan base has in him to really turn things around here. Where do you stand on the Redick front?
So I think with JJ, if I just take his first season, won 50 games in the Western Conference, got a number 3 seed, the roster, when they made the trade for Anthony Davis, or they traded away Anthony Davis, get Luka-Doncic, I mean, clearly they had holes, but they were thinking about the future. And that's kind of the in-between stage of the franchise of it's LeBron and Anthony Davis's, and then eventually it's going to be Luka, and we're still kind of waiting when that will officially happen. I thought JJ did a good job in his first season. I thought he got very, very well exposed in the playoffs, did something that's never happened in the history of the NBA, where he doesn't make a substitution in the second half, and he was criticized for it, as he should have. The one thing that I'll give JJ Redick some leniency on is the team is just the pieces don't fit. Like if I look at the New York Knicks, I could easily look at that franchise and say, man, Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson, and like you mentioned, OG Anunoby, who I think is one of the more underrated players in the league. Mikal Bridges, obviously, a guy that understands his role. Josh Hart, go down the list. Jose Alvarado, Landry Shamet. They got so many guys that it feels like all these pieces connect. The issue with the Lakers, and what I think makes it more difficult to judge JJ Redick, the team is incomplete. And if I look at the Western Conference, I could tell you that San Antonio feel like they got a lot of pieces that connect. Denver, when they're healthy, Oklahoma City, maybe even you could say Minnesota. Houston, I think the Fred VanVleet injury really obviously hurt them, and I don't think they have too much of a ceiling. The problem with the Lakers, they got a lot of pieces that just don't fit, which I think makes it more difficult to judge JJ Redick. But I also think he's going to get plenty of opportunity and plenty of runway with the Lakers to try to make it work.
Yeah, I agree with you, and that's why I wouldn't be so quick to judge him, because, like I told you on your show, I've always felt like if they've been in such this in-between gray area for some time now, they haven't fully committed to a rebuild, then they go get Luka Doncic, and now you certainly can't rebuild. Like, you're trying to build a championship, which to me is going to be difficult for them, so it's going to be interesting to see how they deploy those draft picks in the future. Do they use it to get role players, or do they try to package it up to get a name player? But with Luka Doncic and JJ Redick, they are sporting a top 10 offense in the NBA. As it relates to this matchup tomorrow, outside of the Luka factor, what do you think are some of the positives in terms of the Laker offense?
When it's clicking, it's really good. They made, and I think it was one of the quieter trade deadline moves, I think, in the entire NBA. But Luke Kennard offered something to the Lakers that they haven't had in years. And since the trade deadline, it's either since the trade deadline or the All-Star break, but about a 9-10 game sample size, all of a sudden they could hit threes. And that's been a huge problem for the Lakers. I think Luke Kennard has a lot to do with that. So offensively for the Lake Show, when they're clicking, and it's not always happening, and trust me, they got plenty of flaws, but Austin Reeves can drop 30 on any given night.
Yeah.
I don't need to tell you what LeBron can do on any given night, even at age 41. Luka can literally get you 40, 10, and 10 on any given night. They got some of their offensive capabilities, you start throwing in role players like Rui Hachimura. That's just a nice offensive player. They got guys that can put the ball in the bucket. The problem for the Lakers is it's not always consistent. And there are a lot of times where if that shot's not going, they can't depend on their defense. And then all of a sudden you got a real big issue. So, yes, outside of Luka, they got weapons. But a lot of those times, if the shot's not falling, they're kind of coming into a gunfight with a knife, and that ain't gonna obviously get it done with a lot of these teams, at least the elite teams in the NBA.
Yeah, Luke Kennard falling out of favor quickly after signing that big deal with the Atlanta Hawks. He was someone that I was hoping would have fell into the Knicks' lap, but they didn't have much money to deal with. I was surprised that I think he got like $10 million, right, from the Hawks, and was sitting on the bench, so really just languishing on the bench. But also, it just never seemed like the Gabe Vincent acquisition paid off. He hasn't been the marksman that he was with the Miami Heat, and then he got hurt. Hasn't seemed to be as impactful.
Yeah, I probably went a little too hard on Gabe Vincent over the years. Man, I don't know what to tell you. That guy didn't. I mean, literally, there was no. If 2.5 years he was with the Lakers, he signed a 3-year, $33 million deal, and gets traded at the deadline. So went about 2.5 years with the Lakers. I can't think of a signature moment that he had with the Lakers. He never had any moment. And, you followed it probably closer than I did, but obviously when he was in Miami, he's in the Eastern Conference. They make it to the NBA Finals. He was a great piece for the Miami Heat. And when Pelinka signed him, you thought, oh, this is perfect. They need exactly that type of player. Comes from the Miami Heat culture, hard-nosed, plays defense, a true professional. I'll give him credit on that. He was never one of those guys where everybody liked him, a good locker room guy. They had respect for him. But on the floor, he did nothing. And even in this 15 games, 10, 15 games, whatever it's been since Luke Kennard's been a Laker, he's been such an upgrade from what Gabe Vincent was doing. So a lot of people are very critical about Rob Pelinka, and I'm okay with that. I think there's some positive and negatives that come with Pelinka, but I thought the Kennard trade was a really nice trade where they really didn't have to give up anything for him.
Good pickup. Now, yesterday in the win over the Pacers, no LeBron, no Deandre Ayton. I have not looked at the injury report. Are you expecting the LeBron miracle? Does he get a bionic arm to get ready for this game against New York? Because that's what I'm thinking right now. What's the initial diagnosis here with him and that arm?
So they'll come out a little bit later tonight. We'll get official report. But from all I was hearing yesterday, that it was more of a precaution, and it probably had more to do with they had a battle with the Denver Nuggets the night before. And that's probably why he didn't play against the Pacers, second of a back-to-back. Lakers are trying to be as strategic as they can with LeBron, even though he's basically been there. Missed that stretch of the 14 games to start the season, but since then has obviously been there a lot more often than he hasn't. I find it very, very, very difficult that a game on ABC tomorrow, nationally televised, Lakers and the Knicks, that LeBron James isn't out there. So I think you'll get your fair share of LeBron James tomorrow.
And I was at the game. I was at the game at the Garden because as he's kind of nearing the end, I go to these games at the Garden just in case it's his last one. So that's kind of the first game I buy when the tickets go on sale and for the regular season. So I was at that game, and Knicks did get off to a slow start, but I thought the Lakers. You let me know what you think, but I think within their starting five, like they may not have size across their depth chart, but when you look at Luka, his size, LeBron James, and Ayton, Rui, I thought they did a good job of really slowing down the Knicks and muddying things up in the half court with some of that size across the starting five. And the Knicks were kind of tentative. Ayton started the game off fairly well in that game. And obviously, if he doesn't play in this one, I give a big advantage to the Knicks. But that's what that was my first half impressions in that game at the Garden.
Yeah, the lineup's changed a bit now. So now Marcus Smart's in the starting lineup. Austin Reeves, obviously a part of the starting crew as well. So Rui's coming off the bench, not as much size. The Ayton piece of it, man, Ayton has been it's kind of funny because I don't know it from a national perspective, other than when he called out, they want me to be Clint Capella, and then everybody kind of jumped into that.
Yeah.
The Ayton experience has been, it's been very disappointing, which I've talked to people that have covered Ayton when he was a Blazer, covered him when he was a Phoenix Sun, and all of them have a smirk on their face like, who did you think you were getting? It's been a tough one with Ayton because the guy's got so much talent. He's only 26 years old, former #1 pick, is actually a really skilled big man. What I mean by that, and you know this, CP, you got typically in the NBA, you got either a basketball player or you got an athlete. And I'll give the Lakers as an example. They got two centers, Jackson Hayes, and they got DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton is a basketball player. He can hit a 15-foot jumper. He can face the basket. He can have his back to the basket. Jackson Hayes is a high flyer, throw the ball up, I'll catch a lob, and that's what he's going to do. But Ayton, I think this year is really hurting his value in the league. There's a little bit of this, it's weird. I'll try to kind of explain this. If you had to describe Mitchell Robinson, and you would know this much better than I would, but I'm pretty sure you're not questioning his effort. I'm pretty sure you're not questioning his motor. I'm pretty sure, Mitchell Robinson isn't saying, well, if you want me to do this for you, then you got to do this for me. It's kind of Ayton. Ayton, it's like he's asking for, you got to give me A, B, and C in order for me to give you all these other things. And it's been disappointing. And I think his value in the league is going to hurt from it.
That's tough. And I'm kind of surprised because I expected him coming in with a chance to redeem his career. I'm playing with LeBron James, Luka to a secondary set, but like a JJ Redick, a more mature organization like the Lakers with some infrastructure. I felt like, he would have, this is the best chance and nothing to redeem himself.
Yeah, I thought, sometimes if a player's kind of the back is against the wall and, hey, I got this opportunity, I got all these other playmakers that are out here, I just got to kind of go play a role for the Lakers. And that should be enough to get him a 3-year, $45 million, deal in the league. Again, nothing crazy. You see some of the numbers that are being thrown out here. And now the biggest question mark with Ayton, and we'll see what happens in the offseason, but he's got a player option with the Lakers. And everybody just assumes he's going to have to pick up that player option for $8.5 million, whatever it is, because we don't know how many teams out there are going to want Ayton. But I'm with you. I thought because of those circumstances, those situations, it's a contract year that he might get his act together. That hasn't been the case.
Yeah, very interesting. Well, who you could always call? Your man JaVale McGee's balling out there in the NBL. He just dropped like a 30-20 game down there. He's mauling people. So you might want to call JaVale McGee for a second, third tour. How many tours did he do with the Lakers? 2? You might want to call JaVale McGee for another one, man.
Get another 2020 run. Put the gang back together.
Get JaVale McGee in there. On the other side for the Knicks, Mike Brown. It's interesting. Like I talked to you yesterday on your show about the coaching questions, coaching dynamics. You now have Mike Brown here with the Knicks, who's got a tall job and tall order in terms of getting this team to the NBA Finals because Tom Thibodeau fell 2 games short. But he was with the Lakers once upon a time. And that 2011-2013 season goes 42-29, good regular season record. And then the next year, he's fired after a 1-4 start. What did you think about the Mike Brown tenure with the Lakers, man?
Yeah, the Lakers have had, let's just say, their history with coaches. I mean, Frank Vogel won an NBA championship.
That's right.
And before you knew it, he was gone. This is what I'm interested about. And I know the Mike Brown era, that's a long time ago, but obviously has a history with the Lakers. What I'm really curious about, and I do think the organizations that have a really good grasp of what they're doing, they're thinking long term. They don't hire a coach for a 2-3 year plan and then it's done. And that's kind of been the Lakers now. I could go back to Byron Scott, Luke Walton, obviously Frank Vogel, Darvin Ham. I'm sure I'm missing a coach in between. Now the Lakers are at JJ Redick. You just can't build any continuity. Yeah. And I don't know. It's funny, as an outsider watching the Knicks situation, I was kind of shocked when Thibodeau got fired. In my head, I'm saying to myself, all right, well, there must be something in the waiting here. And the only reason why they'd get rid of Tom Thibodeau is they feel like that's it. We got the perfect guy. We've already, figured it out. And I don't know where Mike Brown was on that list, but
yeah, wasn't first.
And I only say that because there's something about having. I'm not telling you to keep a coach if you're not moving in the right direction, or just keep him just to keep him. but damn, there's a revolving door, and it feels like it's so hard for teams out there to really gain this. Just, I know there's only a couple Eric Spoelstras. I know there's a couple. I understand that, but for the Lakers, hopefully JJ Redick's around for a little bit, just so they could try to build some continuity. Now, if they don't think he's the right guy, a new ownership comes in and say they got to make a change, that's okay. But damn, that the Lakers recycle a lot of coaches.
Yeah, that is true. And the Tibbs one, not obviously after game 2 when they blew the Pacers series because after game 2 was pretty much over. There were rumblings in terms of his future. I just think they were different levels of the organization down to the players that did not give him the vote of confidence. And so while I don't believe that Mike Brown was the first choice, he certainly wasn't. Jason Kidd was the hot name. Taylor Jenkins backed out. And so they kind of backed in to Mike Brown. But we'll see, man. I'm not. There's been like noise about him, especially just really with the fans. Like, oh, he's not the guy. We need Tibbs back, which I'm surprised to hear most fans say. For me, man, I can't judge the guy until the postseason is over with.
Right about that.
And even still, I'm with you. I'd like to see still some more continuity. You can't just keep shuffling chairs and then new system, new style, new voice. I want to see them let this marinate for a little bit before they make the next move. Maybe it ends in a championship, maybe not. But I'm going to be very patient with this Mike Brown one, just as I was with Tom Thibodeau.
Yeah, I look at some of and we'll use the Eastern Conference as an example, but you got certain coaches, well, the West as well. I mean, look at the Oklahoma City Thunder, the San Antonio Spurs, look at obviously the Boston Celtics. Carlisle ain't going anywhere with the Indiana Pacers. There's going to be, I think there's going to be coaches that you feel like are going to be around for a while with certain teams, and they'll always have a leg up. If you go out and you fire your head coach, they're going to have an advantage just merely based off a similar system that they're accustomed to and some continuity that's not there with some of these other teams.
Yeah, that is super true. The couple days ago, or maybe a couple weeks ago, Byron Scott, man, was really outspoken on LeBron. He was like, "We got to get this guy up out of here." What did you think about those comments from Byron Scott? And it just, even when LeBron first got there, I just always felt like, the fan base, nobody really embraced him. And then he brings a chip to the city. I don't know, man. Like, what's your general thoughts on the alumni with LeBron and just the overall fan base on this era?
Well, I'll tell you this. I think the Laker fan base, it's a very, very spoiled fan base. It is. And I would say it when I'm doing my show, and I don't have a problem saying that, but they're spoiled for a reason. They have 17 NBA championships. So you can't value something more than the Denver Nuggets have one championship in their history. They're going to value that one more than the Lakers did on their 15th championship. It's just how it works. The Knicks have not won a championship since Phil Jackson was a player.
That's right.
And a lot of people out there, might not even know if you're a casual NBA fan. It's like, I didn't even know. I only know Phil Jackson.
That's right.
The Lakers is a head coach.
Yeah.
But I don't think every fan base is created equal. And I always had a problem with because here's what I felt like I ran into a lot when it came to LeBron. There was always these comparisons of like, well, you can't cheer for LeBron if you're a Kobe guy. What does that have to do with anything? They're two completely different players. Don't try to compare both of their, what this guy accomplished, what that guy accomplished. They're literally polar opposites. I mean, Kobe, obviously, so much success early in his career with the most dominating player in the world in Shaquille O'Neal at that time, then goes on afterwards, gets a couple championships. No one's going to be comparing Kobe's legacy with the Lakers to LeBron's legacy, any of that stuff. So I always had an issue with that. Yeah. But I will tell you this. I will say that at this stage, there is a very large percentage of Laker fans that are ready to move on from LeBron. I will tell you, I get it at this point. It's been 8 years he's been a Laker. He is 41 years old. And you do have a 26-year-old in Luka-Doncic that you're trying to maximize. How many years you're going to get with Luka? Is it 5 years, 7 years, 10? I don't know how many years, but you're trying to maximize every year. And I do think in order for them to start doing that, there's got to be a LeBron chapter that ends and a true Luka chapter that begins. So whether there's, former Lakers or former Laker fans that are ready for that chapter to close, I understand that today, but I also think it's a little bit idiotic to not appreciate what LeBron did for the Lakers franchise, because before he got there, they went 5 straight years of not making the playoffs, something that hadn't happened in the Lakers' history. And he had a big part to doing with not just that 2020 championship, but making the Lakers relevant again, because since Dr. Jerry Buss had passed away, they weren't relevant until LeBron came.
Well said. Couldn't agree more. And during that quick dark era, our guy Josh Hart was there. The rookie.
That's right.
Josh Hart, the rookie, just celebrated a birthday yesterday. And he since he's gotten to the Knicks, he's been tremendous. But he's a guy who now in the playoffs, a lot of the fans want to see him transitioning to the bench. They see that they feel like, there's a lot in the fan base that feels like he prevents Mike Brown and the starters from playing a true 5-out system. If you watch it tomorrow, the Lakers will probably throw their opposing center on him. Maybe it's Jackson Hayes or whoever starts in Deandre Ayton's absence. If Ayton can't go, they leave him wide open to take the threes. His three-point percentage, though it was hovering around 40% all year, it's kind of dipped since the All-Star break. I'm still a believer in him, but it's interesting. When he first got here, he was king of the world, and now it's like we got to get this guy to the bench. So the Josh Hart experience has been very interesting during his Knicks career.
A quick question on the Knicks side. You'll be able to answer this better for me. I think you and I were talking about, obviously where the Knicks are sitting right now and what the expectations were before the season. 7-game set right now, if it's Knicks and the Pistons, or if it's Knicks and Boston, or if it's Knicks and Cleveland, how does the Knicks fan base, how confident are they? How good do they feel if they go up against some of those other upper echelon opponents in the Eastern Conference?
If you ask them after that Detroit blowout, that first game after the All-Star break, they'd say that they'd be out in the first round. They say they wouldn't even get there, except for me. I'm always believing. I don't watch games with diapers on. Now, the optimism is back up. It's back up. Yeah, it's back. I think I still put them right there. I'm not worried about the Tatum thing. I watched the game last night. It was a great story. I think Detroit is going to have to answer the question. If Cade is not shooting the ball well, who is going to step up? Is Durant going to step up? Unproven. There's nobody else. Look, their defense is ferocious. They can be a physical, gritty, tough team, and Bickerstaff is going to implore those guys to get really physical and chippy, especially if they see the Knicks. But you're still going to have to put up buckets, especially in the half court, because where the Pistons get it going is they'll generate more possessions. They'll win the possession battle by turning you over and turning that into quick offense. But if you jam them up in the half court, they're going to need secondary scoring and three-point shooting, and that's where I question if they can truly hang with the Knicks in a 7-game series. I'm putting the Knicks right up there, man. Putting them right up there.
I'll say this on Detroit, and I think you said it perfectly. And there's a little bit of this on the Spurs in the Western Conference. Got to see it.
See it.
And there's a process, and the process typically, let's put it this way. Let's say the Pistons, let's say they got to the Eastern Conference Finals and lost. That's a phenomenal season for the Detroit Pistons. Yeah. They're going to keep growing off of that, and they're going to try to address some of the needs that they have and that process that we're talking about. If San Antonio got to the Western Conference Finals and lost to the Oklahoma City Thunder, that's a phenomenal season. It's Wemby's first playoff run. Obviously, their future looks great. Knicks is a win now. Obviously, the Cavs are a win now. I only got to see the Celtics a couple different times. Either I'm watching them on the League Pass, just happen to watch them on some nationally televised games, or I'm seeing them against the Lakers. I think it might have been the first or second game after the All-Star break. Lakers played Boston, obviously without Tatum. Tatum wasn't there yet. Boston, I'm curious how Boston matches up against New York, and you'll have a better idea there. But damn, do they play hard. It's not even like they're the most talented team out there, but the pieces fit, the pieces connect, and adding Tatum, I would just think, again, as an outsider, that's a dangerous team to get back to the NBA Finals.
I wouldn't look past them whatsoever. Jaylen Brown playing at an MVP level. And with the Tatum impact, even if he's not 100% of who he was prior to the injury, I don't expect that. Miracles do happen, but I think it's going to be an adjustment period, a ramp up as he gets confident, just being able to like be explosive and get back to his old self. But I think the threat and the gravity of a Tatum allows the rest of the role players to slot in to their role. For example, Derek White, he's coming off of, lows across the board from last year. His efficiency's dropped almost 10 points from three, from the mid-range. And so, he becomes more dangerous as defensive has to hone in on Brown and on Tatum. That frees up Derek White to, toss up those wide open threes. So I think the Tatum factor is indeed going to make them dangerous. Jaylen Brown has emerged. His ball handling is tightened up. He's become a much better playmaker. So yeah, you're going to have to factor them in. The Vucevic injury, I'm not so sure what to make of it because he hasn't really made an impact with them so far. But if he comes back around playoff time, you just never know. The East is loaded, man. How about in the West? Right now, if the season were over, it would be a Lakers-Rockets matchup. You got Thunder, Spurs, Rockets, Ant-Man and the Wolves, Denver, and the Lakers in that top six. And, hey, you got the Phoenix Suns 2 games back to the Lakers, man.
Yeah, so Phoenix, the biggest issue with them is just their injuries. I mean, not having Dylan Brooks.
Yeah.
It's funny how, again, we talk about players that are – we mentioned OG Anunoby, right, that – I look at some of these players around the league and I'm like, God, how does that guy not get more publicity? How does that guy not get more love? Dylan Brooks, I think, falls into that category in the Western Conference. They just got to be healthy. Their problem is they're probably going to end up a number 7 seed because they're not healthy. So they're going to have San Antonio or OKC in that first round, probably San Antonio most likely. And if that's the case, I don't see them getting too much further, obviously, than that first round. The West is interesting because – earlier today, I'll use as an example, Minnesota gets blown out against the Orlando Magic. Denver has been very up and down, whether Jokic was there or wasn't. Now, I know Denver's got injury issues now,
Yeah.
Jamal Murray, but they always seem to have some type of injury. The Rockets, I'm watching the Lakers team go to Golden State last week, up by 30 against the Warriors. And then that same Warriors team without Steph Curry goes to Houston and wins in overtime. I get thrown off by a lot
call
of
it, man.
And the problem with the Lakers is, I mean this when I say it, I can't remember a signature win for the Lakers in months. So the Lakers can keep beating on all these teams that aren't going to be in the playoffs, but you'll see it tomorrow. You'll see it tomorrow. If the Knicks... The Lakers are one of those teams. If a fight breaks out at the bar, they're the quickest ones out the back door. They're like, yeah, I want none of this. They don't want that. There are certain teams that have a certain style of basketball, and if you roll up your sleeves and it's this kind of, we want to go 12 rounds, the Lakers are like, we're good after 3-4 rounds.
Yeah.
So they obviously haven't proven anything, and I think it kind of just falls back to the 2 teams that are clearly the best in the West, which is the Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I don't think Denver's defense is elite enough, good enough to stop any of these guys at the top of the West. Timberwolves, Ant-Man is Ant-Man. I don't trust any of those other guys. Even the former Laker, the former Nick Julius Randle. I've never trusted him in a big spot in the playoffs. Last year he did better, but I don't think I don't think Minnesota has enough. Rockets could be interesting there with KD. I still think they need just a little more offense. I was surprised that they didn't make a move at the trade deadline to shore things up there. I like their scrappiness and their wings from Thompson. I love Tari Eason. Jabari Smith has had a great year, great shooting year as well. Reed Shepherd has played well. He had to really step up for them to even be there at third in the West. But I still think it's a 2-team race. But as you said, where you just can't call it, here it is. San Antonio's manhandled the Thunder. The Knicks have played well against San Antonio, except for that New Year's Eve game where Champagny goes crazy. The Knicks didn't beat the Thunder, but lost in a close one. They manhandled the Nuggets, but they can't beat the Pistons. And the Spurs have beaten the Pistons quite handily in their two matchups. You just can't call it from night to night, man.
But you know what? I think that's kind of the beauty where the NBA is right now. That's what you want, And yes, Thunder are going to be the favorites, and I'll give you a good example. You know what the Rockets are missing? You mentioned the Rockets. They're missing a player they already had in Fred VanVleet.
That's right.
That got injured, and that's the answer for them. Or if you look at Denver, they're dealing with injuries on a night in, night out basis. So we've never really got to see what they are or what their ceiling is. But I do think there's something. I don't know how big of an NFL fan you are.
Big time.
One of the things that
long-suffering New York Football Giants fan.
Yeah. So that's in your blood there. But one of the things about the NFL, typically, it's like, you know what? For the most part, anybody can beat anybody on any given night. Of course, you're going to have games that are games, but Josh Allen can lose in the playoffs against a Denver Broncos team that nobody really thought, no, come on, the Broncos aren't going to do it. New England can go on a run. Obviously the Seahawks in that division, how good that division was with the Rams, the Seahawks, and the 49ers. The point is that I do like where the NBA is today. You haven't had a repeat championship in a handful of years. Anybody can win night in, night out. I think that's healthy for the league. Now, whether it should be, I know if we've had dynasties in the NBA, and I'm not telling you that we're not going to have more dynasties in the future, but I do like where the league is at from that perspective, that anybody can win.
Yeah, I'm with you there. So with that being said, you got the Lakers and the Knicks tomorrow. Lakers win. I still think the Knicks are going to take it, but if the Lakers win, what do you think needs to happen here?
So I kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier. They got to be almost flawless on the offensive side. Yes, Luka's got to get his, but I'm not as concerned about Luka-Doncic because I think when the dust settles, he's going to have his stats. The players I would really watch out for, and I think the one specifically, and if I'm the New York Knicks, I'm paying close attention to him because I think if you can control Austin Reeves, you probably control the Lakers. And he struggled. I mean, he's really, since he came back from his injury, there was a stretch during the beginning of the season where he was 26 a night, I think 5.5 assists and 5.5 rebounds, something along those, just phenomenal stats. He was on his way to being an all-star before his injury. Since he's come back, since his injury, 16 points a night, 3.5 rebounds and 3.5 assists. Reeves has not got it going in a while. And I remember yesterday you said something to me when we were doing my show, and it immediately made me think of the Lakers. You said that sometimes Jalen Brunson, there might be a little bit, he's got the ball too much in his hands, and it might kind of take away from a flow where other guys contributing. That happens a lot with Luka as well. If the Knicks let Luka get his, but you control some of these other players, Knicks are going to win the game. I think the only way the Lakers are in it tomorrow is by the time you're doing your post-game show and I'm doing mine, there's got to be 5-6 guys that are in double figures. The ball had to be moving. Luka wasn't as predictable of an offense that you had Austin Reeves and Marcus Smart and LeBron and some of these other guys that contributed. It's going to take a lot of that. And the last thing I'll just kind of throw out there, as far as what it would take for the Lakers to win this game, they're not a team that comes back. So if the Knicks have a 7, 8, 10-point lead by the time you get to halftime, not that the game is over, but that doesn't typically fare well for the Lakers. Now, if they have a lead at halftime or have a lead going into the fourth quarter, they're one of the best clutch teams, and they have one of the best records when they're playing from ahead than rather playing from behind.
Well said there. I like where this Knicks team is, and especially I think LeBron will play. But if like a Deandre Ayton doesn't play, I mean, the Knicks are just rebounding at such a high level that if they go into that game with the Towns, A.M. Robinson, a Hart, that's their ability, even if they're not hitting their shots, their ability to get those second chance opportunities to really run it up. And then on top of that, they're coming in on a high from a shooting standpoint. They're spraying the ball around. Like I said, OG Anunoby, a monster night against the Lakers with 34 points. Jalen Brunson struggled in the first matchup against the Lakers and didn't really get off to a hot shooting start against Denver, I think he's going to be a bit more aggressive to get his shots against the Lakers, the place where he injured his ankle last year. And yeah, I just think this Knicks team is rolling a bit too much. But, hey, as you said, it's a make-or-miss league. And if the Lakers are firing, this could be a tough one for the Knicks as well. But as they are looking in the rearview mirror, or as the Boston Celtics are looking at the Knicks in the rearview mirror, this is a game that the Knicks need. So I'd expect them to really get up for this one, especially on one-day rest. Unfortunately, they got to do a two-step with the Clippers on Monday. But, yeah, we'll see what happens there, man. But great convo, man. Great show, man.
Yeah, I don't know how much this still comes into play, but 12:30 tip-off. They get a Saturday night in LA. What the Lakers are depending. I'm sure Pelinka's trying to take care as best as he can take care of the. Tell us where you guys want to go tonight. We have connections everywhere. Lakers are going to need some help.
Yeah,
so that's and I'll say this just kind of to end this here. I think for the Lakers, I mean, if you told me, hey, make a prediction, what do you think happens tomorrow? I can't pick the Lakers versus anybody over 500 until the Lakers start beating some teams over 500. So I think the Knicks will have the advantage going into the game tomorrow, and it's up for the Lakers to change that narrative. They got, just this week alone, they go Knicks, Minnesota, they got another matchup against Denver, they got 2 at Houston, so you call it the next 2 weeks or so. They got a lot of really good matchups coming up, and it's up to the Lakers to win some of these games to change that narrative.
Yeah, as you said, 14-19 versus teams over 500, and 24-6 versus teams below. The Knicks, conversely, 23-18 versus teams over 500, and 18-5 versus teams below. Alan, let the people know where they can find you, man.
All right, on YouTube, Hoops Talk with Alan Sliwa. Do a show on Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. here out on the West Coast, talking Lakers and NBA, predominantly Lakers basketball, and then I react on postgame as well.
There we go, man. We'll appreciate the time, and we'll definitely catch up soon, man. Appreciate the conversation, man. Excellent job.
Thank you, CP. Appreciate the time.
All right. Salute to everybody in the chat once again. Shout out to our guy, Alan Sliwa, man. Great conversation. Make sure you guys are tapping in with him on his platform. Salute to my franchise channel members. Happy Saturday to you guys. And, hey, it is a good time to be a New York Knickerbocker. Check 1, check 2. Are we back live? We back live? All right. We are back live. We are back live. I hope, did the show cut? The show cut. I had some internet issues, but did it cut after Alan left the show? Just make sure. Good people in the chat, keep me honest. Just make sure so I can know what I got to edit out for the replay. Shout out to the replay gang, of course. Shout out to the replay gang. I hope we're back. It froze momentarily. Hard Jeezy, appreciate you. Okay. Well, if you guys are out west, our Left Coast Knicks fam is going to be hosting at 33 Taps in Silver Lake, the Knicks versus Lakers watch party. Okay, so make sure you guys, if you guys are in the West Coast, if you guys are in LA, make sure you tap in with 33 Taps to tap in with our guys. Okay. All right, so the chat says that I cut out after Alan signed off. Okay, good. Yeah, I don't know. I got something a bone to pick with Verizon, man. My thing has been shaky. My internet. You know, all things, everything else is working well. But my internet has been shaky, man. So I don't know what's going on there. But anyway, you got the Knicks taking on the Lakers. Going to be a good one as usual. Knicks rolling, man. Knicks are rolling, and the Knicks fans are happy. That's what I like to see, man. Enthusiasm in the fan base. So we're going to be looking forward to that. Had a big win last night against the Denver Nuggets. And also, if you guys are in the tri-state area, make sure you tap in with us at Sweet Spot. Make sure you tap in with us at Sweet Spot for the KFTV watch party. We will be there. Sign up at KnicksFanTV.com. Meet us over there. Knicks versus Lakers. Brunch with the franchise and the good people at KFTV. So make sure you guys go there. Now, if you're looking for tables at Sweet Spot, the tables are booked for now. We will put you on a wait list. It's just jammed up. People coming. But we got standing room only. We have bar seating, first come, first serve, and you have standing room by the bar so you can post up. But if you're trying to come with a group, the tables are booked as of right now. Okay, so just letting you guys know that. in the event that you come in. But again, some people might not show up, but some people might cancel the reservation. So still come and just check in with the hostess, and they will take care of you. Okay, a couple other housekeeping items, man. Shout out to our sponsors of today's show, and that is the good people at Car Gurus, man. Look, buying a car is a big decision. You don't want to feel rushed, confused, or second guessing yourself, especially with prices being what they are right now. That's why I rock with Car Gurus. What I love is how simple they make the whole process. With Car Gurus Discover, you can skip all those annoying filters and just search the way you actually think. You tell her what you want, maybe good gas mileage for road trips, extra trunk space for the family, or something comfortable for that daily commute, and it shows you real, shoppable listings that actually match. That's a game changer. And if you're at the dealership, the Car Gurus app has this feature called Dealership Mode. It's basically a cheat code. You can compare the car right in front of you to similar options, check deal ratings, see the price history, and even estimate your final costs all on the spot. That's confidence right there. With over 4 million listings, Car Gurus has one of the biggest selections out there, so you know you're seeing real options and real deals. No wonder it's the #1 most visited car shopping site. So whether you're buying or selling, don't guess. Make your big deal the best deal. Go to cargurus.com. That's CARGURUS.com. Shout out to our good people at Car Gurus. Okay, let me shout out a franchise channel. I'm nothing like a matinee for a Sunday. Stephen Gomez, salute. Yeah, but you know what? We got the clocks rolling forward. I might have to go to sleep a little early tonight, man. The clock's rolling forward. I like the fact that we got extra daytime, but compared to the roll to daylight savings time, I love that Sunday. This one, spring forward, I'm aggy, man. I'm aggravated on the spring forward, man. You know. What else? Who else we got here? We need an official regional satellite reps for KFTV. Yeah, we got to build that out. Harjeezy, where are you located, Harjeezy? Are you out in LA? Where are you located, man? Zach can be the left coast president, you know? Okay, glad we glitched out after. Shout out to Alan. That was a good show, man. Great, good conversation, good flow, very productive. I thought he was a good guest. What are you guys doing tonight, man, on this Saturday night? What are you guys doing tonight, man? Got to go run some more errands. Got my gym on, got my workout in, went to the barbershop, got chopped up. It's a good Saturday, productive Saturday. Spankto says, yo, CP, is Rob Perez ever going to come on the show with you this season? Yeah. I'll hit up Rob. You know, Rob does NBA radio every day on a daily, and he's out in the West Coast, so timing is a little bit difficult. He's got a busy schedule. So I try to get him on, sparingly, because he's got a very busy schedule. But he runs the program with him and Antonio Daniels. They have a great show. Make sure you guys tap in with them if you have SiriusXM. And, we'll bring Rob on. Not a problem. We'll definitely get my guy, Rob Perez, in the mix. And if you guys missed the announcement yesterday, Monday, we got a big show coming up on Monday, man. Shout out to the LIU Sharks, ladies and gentlemen. Head coach Rod Strickland has gotten the LIU Brooklyn Sharks to the NCAA tournament. And Rod Strickland is coming to KnicksFanTV on Monday, 4 p.m. Special edition of Knicks Weekly. Rod Strickland is going to be in the building. So very much looking forward to that one. We're going to have a great show. I spoke to Rod yesterday morning. And look, things can change because he's going to be busy now. He's going to be very busy and in demand. But as of right now, we got Rod Strickland coming to KFTV. That's 4 p.m. Eastern time. We also have Chris Childs. Chris Childs is going to be coming to KFTV sometime next week as well. So we build him back up with the Once a Knick, Always a Knick series. And we are very much looking forward to that one. Okay? All right, man. Great show. Great show to the fam. Salute to everybody in the chat. And thanks for tapping in, man. Remember that these shows are available in audio podcast format. No reason to miss it. You can catch us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify as well. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the share button. And make sure you are subscribing to the channel. Shout out to Sunny Dog 8. He just gifted 5 more franchise channel memberships. So we appreciate you, Sunny Dog. And welcome to the franchise channel members. I see Slow Death 718, Christian Idea 345, and the chat won't let me scroll up to see the rest. But Sunny Dog, we appreciate you. Tomorrow, play-by-play with CK2K. Post-game live with CP The Fanchise. We got the KFTV brunch watch party in Queens, Sweet Spot Astoria. We got you action-packed, covered all day long on the #1 show for the fans, by the fans. Thanks for the support. We out of here, man. Peace.